Imagine this with me for a second. Someone looks you in the eye, and they don't ask for your money, they don't ask for your time, they don't even ask for your help. They ask you for something far more dangerous. They ask you to give up a piece of yourself. Maybe it's your honesty, maybe it's your values, maybe it's your faith, or maybe it's that inner voice you know is guiding you in the right direction. That right there is the most expensive thing you will ever be asked to give. Because when you give away your integrity, you don't just lose something external, you lose yourself. The truth is, integrity is not for sale. It's not something you lend out. It's not something you trade. And it's not something you bend just because someone else doesn't have the strength to stand on their own. The people who will try to take it from you rarely come out and say, "Hey, can you sacrifice your character for me?" They disguise it. They'll say, "Don't worry, no one will know." They'll tell you, "It's just this once." They'll whisper, "It's not a big deal." But deep down, you know it is a big deal. Because every single time you let go of a piece of your integrity, you're chiseling away at the foundation of who you are. Here's the hard part. Sometimes it's not strangers asking you to compromise. Sometimes it's people you trust, people you love, people who carry influence in your life. And that's what makes it so tempting. Because you think, if I say no, I might lose them. If I stand my ground, I might stand alone. But let me tell you something. Standing alone with your integrity is far more powerful than standing together in compromise. Because when you compromise your integrity for someone else, you lose twice. You lose the principle, and you lose yourself in the process. Think about this: you can recover money, you can recover time, you can rebuild opportunities. But once you shatter integrity, once you break that trust within yourself, the pieces never quite fit the same again. You carry that weight. And the person who asked you to give it up, they move on, they forget, they shrug it off. But you're left holding the guilt, the regret, and the feeling that you went against your own soul. It's not just about right and wrong, it's about identity. Who do you want to be when no one else is watching? Because integrity is not built in public moments where the crowd is clapping. It's built in the quiet decisions, in the small temptations, in the whispered offers to cut corners. And every time you say, "No, I won't trade my integrity for approval, for comfort, or for acceptance," you strengthen your backbone. You remind yourself that your character is not negotiable. So what happens when people keep asking? When they push, when they pressure, when they dangle consequences in front of you? You look them straight in the eye and you recognize the truth. Anyone who asks you to lose yourself so they can gain something was never for you to begin with. They may call it loyalty, they may call it love, they may call it support, but real loyalty never demands dishonesty. Real love never pressures you into shame. Real support never forces you to sacrifice who you are. Integrity will cost you, no doubt about it. It will cost you relationships. It will cost you opportunities. It will cost you some temporary comfort. But the price of keeping it is always less than the price of losing it. Because the moment you let it go, you stop being the person you promised yourself you'd be. And if you can't trust yourself, how can you expect anyone else to trust you? So the next time someone asks you to compromise, remember this: their request is not about the situation, it's about your soul. If you say yes, you give them control over your character. If you say no, you keep your freedom, your peace, and your identity intact. Stay away from anyone who even dares to ask for that, because people who respect you will never want you to lose yourself for their gain. And at the end of the day, it's simple: a relationship, an opportunity, or an advantage that requires the death of your integrity is not worth the life of your character. Choose yourself. Choose truth. Choose to walk away. Time. It's the one thing you can never get back once it's gone. You can earn money again. You can rebuild relationships. You can recover from mistakes. But you will never rewind the clock. And yet, some people treat your time like it's disposable. They ask for it, they waste it, and they act as if you owe it to them. These are the people you need to be careful with, because when someone constantly asks for your time without respecting it, they're not just taking minutes or hours, they're stealing pieces of your life you'll never see again. Think about the people who pull you into endless conversations that go nowhere, who constantly demand your presence but offer nothing of value in return, who expect you to drop everything the second they snap their fingers. They frame it like it's just a little thing, like it's no big deal. But what they're really asking is for you to pause your own growth, your own responsibilities, and your own calling, just so they can fill the silence of their own. And here's the truth: if they don't value your time, they don't value your future. Time is the currency of life. Every minute is an investment, and every choice of how you spend it is shaping the person you're becoming. If you're giving hours to someone who doesn't respect them, you're not just losing time, you're losing momentum, focus, and the energy that could have been poured into building the life you were meant to live. And the hardest part, many times, it's the people closest to us who misuse it. They know you'll say yes. They know you don't want to disappoint. They know your heart leans toward helping. But not everyone who asks for your time deserves your time. When you constantly give in, you start to notice something. Your schedule isn't your own anymore. Your energy feels drained before the day even begins. And that quiet frustration creeps in, the kind where you're resentful at them, but deep down, you're even more upset with yourself for saying yes again. That's when you need to recognize it for what it is, a wake-up call. Because here's the truth. People who respect you won't always ask for your time. They'll make space for it. They'll consider your responsibilities. They'll honor your commitments. And they'll understand that your life doesn't revolve around their demands. But the ones who don't, they'll keep taking. And if you let them, they'll take so much that one day you'll look back and wonder how much of your life you gave away to people who never earned it. You see, time boundaries are not selfish. They're necessary. They are the walls that protect the garden of your purpose. Without them, weeds grow everywhere. Without them, your focus scatters. Without them, the people who take the most leave you with the least. And it's not just about productivity, it's about dignity. Respecting your own time sends a message to the world: my life matters, my mission matters, and I will not waste it on people who refuse to honor it. And let's be real. When someone keeps asking for your time without respecting it, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a sign. It tells you where you stand in their eyes. Because if they truly valued you, they would value the hours you spend. They would see your sacrifices, your priorities, and your dreams, and they wouldn't want to steal from that. They would want to support it. So the next time someone pressures you into giving what you don't have, remember this: every yes you give to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. Every hour wasted on someone's careless request is an hour stolen from the people and the goals that actually need you. Your family needs you. Your calling needs you. Your future needs you. And none of those things should suffer because someone else didn't want to manage their own life. Stay away from people who treat your time like it's worthless, because if they don't see the value of your minutes, they will never see the value of your mission. Protect your hours, protect your focus, and protect the life you're building, because no one else can live it for you. There's a certain kind of request that seems small on the surface, but carries a weight you don't always feel until it's too late. It's when someone asks you to betray someone else's trust. Maybe they want you to share something that was told to you in confidence. Maybe they encourage you to bend the truth, to cover for them, to make someone else look bad so they can look good. Or maybe it's gossip, the kind that starts off sounding harmless, like you're just sharing or venting, but deep down, you know it's not. You know that the moment you say yes, you've stepped into a cycle that doesn't just damage the other person, it damages you. The thing about trust is, it's fragile. It takes years to build, moments to break, and often a lifetime to repair. And when someone invites you to betray it, they're not just asking you to harm someone else. They're asking you to sacrifice your own integrity in the process. Think about it. If they're comfortable asking you to betray another person's trust, what makes you believe they wouldn't one day ask someone else to betray yours? If they can lead you into disloyalty, they've already proven loyalty means nothing to them. Here's the trap: betrayal rarely presents itself with a loud warning sign. It comes dressed up in justification. It's not that serious. They'll never find out. You're just helping me out. It sounds like loyalty, like being a good friend, like you're standing by someone. But real loyalty doesn't require lies. Real friendship doesn't demand deception. And real love never asks you to destroy another person to prove yourself. When you step into betrayal, you might think you're just damaging someone else. But the truth is, you're tearing apart your own foundation. Because every time you go against what you know is right, every time you trade truth for convenience, you weaken your own voice, you dull your own conscience. And one day, you wake up realizing that you've been so busy protecting everyone else's lies, you've lost sight of your own truth. What makes it even harder is that betrayal often comes wrapped in pressure. Maybe it's your boss pushing you to cover something up. Maybe it's a friend who insists you have their back. Maybe it's family convincing you to say nothing when you know you should speak. And in those moments, it feels like your choice is between loyalty and loneliness. But here's the reality: standing alone in truth will always be safer than standing with a crowd built on lies. And it's not just about protecting others. It's about protecting your own reputation. People are watching. They notice when you gossip, when you leak what was meant to be private, when you compromise for convenience. And the moment they see it, a seed of doubt gets planted. If they'll do it to someone else, what will they do to me? Trust, once questioned, is rarely restored. That's why you've got to pay attention to the people who keep pulling you into betrayal. Because over time, they're not just shaping your choices, they're shaping your character. The more you say yes to them, the harder it becomes to say no. And before you know it, you're not just betraying others, you're betraying yourself. But imagine this instead. Imagine being the person who, when others try to pull you into gossip, you shut it down. When they try to get you to cover a lie, you walk away. When they pressure you to betray, you choose to be faithful to truth. That's when people start to see you differently. That's when they know, this is someone I can trust. This is someone who won't sell me out when things get tough. And that kind of reputation is worth more than any short-term approval you might get from betraying someone else. So the choice is clear. Stay away from the people who keep asking you to betray trust, because if you let them, they'll drag you into their web of lies and leave you tangled in the consequences. Protect your integrity. Protect your relationships. Protect the truth you know is right, because at the end of the day, nothing will weigh heavier than realizing you gave up your own honor just to keep someone else comfortable. And when the pressure comes, and it will, remember this: loyalty built on betrayal is not loyalty at all. Choose truth. Choose trust. Choose to be the person who cannot be bought. There's a subtle kind of request that doesn't always come at you like a demand, but if you listen closely, you'll hear the weight of it. It's when someone asks you, directly or indirectly, to put them above everything else. At first, it might feel flattering. It might feel like they're saying, I need you. You matter to me. You're important. And yes, we all want to feel needed. We all want to feel valued. But when that need turns into control, when that importance starts asking you to sacrifice your family, your responsibilities, your calling, or even your relationship with God, then it's no longer love, it's a trap. People who truly care about you will never ask you to replace your higher priorities with their desires. They'll never ask you to compromise the order of what matters most. But unhealthy people, they'll disguise it as devotion. They'll make you believe that proving your care means choosing them over everything else. They'll test your loyalty by seeing what you're willing to neglect in order to keep them satisfied. And without realizing it, you can find yourself pulled into a cycle where you're giving up pieces of yourself just to hold on to them. Think about it. You've seen relationships where one person feels suffocated, drained, constantly caught in the tug of war between what they know they should be doing and what the other person is demanding. That's not balance, that's bondage. Because love doesn't chain you, it frees you. It gives you space to grow, to serve, to live out your purpose fully. But control wants everything from you without giving anything back. And the truth is, this kind of demand often starts small. Maybe they ask you to skip something important just to prove you care. Maybe they push you to choose them over your commitments because if you really loved me, you'd do this. Maybe they make you feel guilty every time you put energy into your work, your dreams, your faith, or your family. And little by little, without realizing it, you start building your life around their approval instead of your purpose. But here's the danger. Once you give someone that kind of power, it's never enough. The more you hand over, the more they'll demand. The more you bend, the more they'll press. Because the problem isn't that they need you. It's that they want to own you. And ownership is not love. You see, healthy relationships understand order. They understand that your faith comes first, your family comes first, your purpose comes first. They celebrate it. They don't compete with it. They know that by supporting the things that truly matter to you, they're not losing you. They're gaining the best version of you. But unhealthy relationships, they pit themselves against what matters most. And if you're not careful, you wake up one day realizing that you've been serving someone else's insecurity instead of serving the life you were created to live. And let's be honest, a lot of people give in because they're afraid of losing the relationship. They think, if I don't keep them happy, they'll leave. But here's the reality. Anyone who requires you to abandon your values just to stay close was never with you in the first place. They weren't looking for partnership. They were looking for possession. And you cannot build a meaningful life on the shaky ground of someone else's control. So what do you do when that pressure comes? You draw a line. You remember that choosing your priorities is not selfish, it's necessary. You remember that if someone loves you, they'll push you toward what's right, not away from it. They'll celebrate your devotion to your faith, not compete with it. They'll encourage you to love your family better, not resent it. They'll support your growth, not stifle it. Because real love doesn't ask you to put it above everything else. Real love stands with you as you honor your highest callings. Real love doesn't make you choose between them and your purpose. It strengthens your purpose. So if someone is asking you to put them above everything, you need to pay attention. Because the moment you bow to that request, you lose more than your time. You lose your freedom, your clarity, and your future. Walk away from that kind of demand. Protect what matters most. Protect the order of your life. Protect the relationships and responsibilities that are bigger than one person's insecurity. At the end of the day, love that costs you your identity, your calling, or your faith is not love at all. Choose what lasts. Choose what's true. Choose the path that doesn't ask you to abandon who you are. There's a request people make that sounds harmless at first, but is one of the most dangerous of all. It's when they ask you, in words or in actions, to silence your dreams. They may not say it directly. They may not come out and declare, stop dreaming. But you'll feel it. You'll feel it in the way they dismiss your ideas, in the way they roll their eyes when you share your goals, in the way they tell you to be realistic. When what they really mean is, stay small so I don't have to feel uncomfortable. And if you're not careful, you'll begin to shrink, not because you believe your dreams aren't possible, but because you've been convinced they make someone else uneasy. The truth is, your dreams are not accidents. They're whispers of what's possible, seeds planted inside of you for a reason. They're the fire that fuels your growth, the vision that gives meaning to your struggle. And Yet, the moment you start pursuing them, you'll notice people appear who try to dim that fire. Sometimes it's because your dream threatens their comfort. Sometimes it's because they couldn't see themselves doing it, so they don't want you to either. Sometimes it's simply jealousy. Whatever the reason, the message is the same. Tone it down. Don't shine so bright. Don't aim so high. But here's what you need to remember. If someone truly cares for you, they'll never ask you to bury your calling so they can feel secure. They'll never ask you to kill your own potential just to fit into the version of life they're comfortable with. Because a true friend, a true partner, a true supporter, they want to see you rise. They want to see you grow. They want to see you step into everything you were meant to be. The danger of giving in to people who ask you to silence your dreams is that it rarely feels like giving in. It feels like compromise. It feels like being reasonable. It feels like keeping the peace. But inside, you know it's costing you more than you admit. Because every time you hold back, every time you bury your passion, every time you stop yourself from speaking your vision out loud, you lose a little piece of yourself. And over time, those small sacrifices pile up into regret. Dreams don't just vanish, they linger. They sit quietly in the back of your mind, reminding you of what could have been. And nothing weighs heavier than the thought of a life that could have been lived fully, but wasn't, simply because you chose to listen to the voices that told you to stop dreaming. And here's the thing, most people who tell you to silence your dreams aren't doing it to protect you. They're doing it to protect themselves. Because when you rise, when you chase after something bigger, when you live with passion and conviction, you become a mirror. You remind them of the risks they never took, the chances they never seized, the life they never pursued. And instead of being inspired by your courage, they try to bring you back down to their comfort zone. But remember this, your purpose was never meant to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. So what do you do when people keep asking you to silence your dreams? You keep dreaming louder. You protect that vision like it's sacred, because it is. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to make others feel tall. You stop playing small just because someone else can't handle the size of your calling. Because at the end of the day, you don't owe anyone the comfort of your silence. You owe yourself the courage of your voice. Stay away from those who tell you to dim your light. Stay away from those who call your dreams unrealistic, your goals too big, your vision too much. Because those words don't come from people who believe in you. They come from people who fear what your growth will reveal about them. And you were not put on this earth to live small. You were not created to bury your passion. You were not called to silence what was planted in you. The world doesn't need more people hiding their light. It needs more people unafraid to shine. And if someone asks you to silence your dreams, it's not a request you can afford to say yes to. Because the cost of pleasing them will always be the death of becoming you. There's one more request people make that, on the surface, looks like humility. But if you pay close attention, it can be one of the most damaging. It's when someone keeps asking you for your forgiveness, but never shows any sign of change. They mess up, they hurt you, they break your trust, and when the damage is done, they come back with the same words. I'm sorry. Forgive me. And because you're compassionate, because you're kind, because you don't want to carry bitterness, you give it. You release them. You try to move forward. But then it happens again and again and again, until one day you realize the words, I'm sorry, have lost their meaning, because they were never meant to heal you. They were only meant to reset the cycle. Forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness frees you from bitterness. It allows you to move forward without carrying the poison of resentment in your heart. But forgiveness was never meant to be a tool for someone else's convenience. When someone uses your forgiveness as a license to keep repeating the same behavior, what they're asking for isn't grace. It's permission. They want the benefits of being forgiven without the responsibility of transformation. And that's not an apology, that's manipulation. The danger is that after a while, you start to doubt yourself. You start to think maybe you're too harsh, maybe you should just keep forgiving, maybe this is what it means to be loyal. But loyalty is not letting someone destroy your peace in the name of love. Loyalty is not sacrificing your well-being to excuse their refusal to grow. Real love doesn't just say, "I'm sorry." Real love asks, "How do I change?" You see, when someone truly regrets their actions, you don't just hear it in their words. You see it in their steps. They don't just want forgiveness, they want accountability. They don't just want a second chance, they want to earn it. They don't just ask you to let go of the past, they prove they're building a different future. That's what repentance looks like. That's what responsibility sounds like. Anything less than that is empty. And here's where it gets hard. People who constantly ask for forgiveness without change often make you feel guilty when you start pulling away. They'll say, "But you forgave me, why are you still upset?" They'll twist it, making it seem like the problem isn't their lack of change, but your lack of grace. Don't fall for it. Your ability to forgive does not mean you are required to stay in cycles that break you. Forgiveness frees your heart, but boundaries protect your life. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to say, "I forgive you, but I can't keep giving you access to hurt me again." Because if someone truly values you, they won't just keep asking for your patience, they'll start asking themselves the hard questions. They'll wrestle with their own actions, they'll face their own patterns, and they'll put in the work to become someone who no longer needs forgiveness for the same mistakes. That's growth. That's change. That's respect. But if all they ever offer are repeated apologies with no shift in behavior, what they're really saying is, "I value your forgiveness more than I value your peace. I value my comfort more than I value your trust. I value staying the same more than I value becoming better." And you cannot build a healthy relationship, a healthy friendship, or even a healthy connection with someone who keeps choosing comfort over growth. So what do you do when faced with this? You keep your heart soft enough to forgive, but strong enough to set boundaries. You remind yourself that forgiveness is a gift you give freely, but reconciliation is something that must be earned. You release the bitterness, but you also release yourself from the cycle. You stop believing that someone's words define them and start watching what their actions reveal. Stay away from people who keep asking for your forgiveness without ever asking themselves to change. Because at the end of the day, your peace matters. Your trust matters. Your well-being matters. Forgiveness is holy, but so is wisdom. Don't confuse the two. And when someone tries to convince you that their apology is enough, remember this: true love doesn't just apologize, it transforms.